With communists, that human was no longer selfish. In America today, that human is no longer born male or female. And obesity is not something that affects health. You can be healthy at any size. Really, we voted on it. A formerly serious magazine last year published with a straight face an article called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense." Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory, and now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory? Biology.
Bill Maher just lit a match under his own side, and the blaze is spreading fast. For decades, he mocked Republicans, roasted Bible thumpers, and shredded climate deniers. Now, he's aiming that same firepower at progressives, and they're furious. This isn't comedy fluff. Maher is staging a cultural wake-up call, saying the left has drifted into fantasy land where biology is optional, obesity is healthy, and gender is a suggestion. He warns that reality doesn't bend for hashtags, it crushes bad ideas. And here's the kicker, Maher hasn't gone conservative. He's still a liberal. That's why his critique cuts so deep. It's not an outsider attacking, it's family turning on family. And in politics, betrayal always burns the hottest.
The problem with communism, and with some very recent ideologies here at home, is that they think you can change reality by screaming at it. That you can bend human nature by holding your breath. But that's the difference between reality and your mommy. Lincoln once said that you can repeal all past history, but you still cannot repeal human nature. But he's canceled now, so f*** him.
Let's get real. Once you start claiming men and women's sports are interchangeable, you've left reality behind. That's not progress, it's delusion. And when mainstream outlets print it like gospel, it's proof the rot isn't at the fringe anymore, it's at the core.
If you're part of today's woke revolution, you need to study the part of revolutions where they spin out of control because the revolutionaries get so drunk on their own purifying elixir, they imagine they can reinvent the very nature of human beings. Communists thought selfishness could be cast out of human nature. Russian revolutionaries spoke of the new Soviet man who wasn't motivated by self-interest, but instead wanted to be part of a collective. No, it turns out he wanted to be on a yacht in a Gucci tracksuit holding a vodka and a prostitute. Not standing in line all day for a potato.
This is where it turns chilling. Maher doesn't just call out wokeness, he connects it to Mao's Cultural Revolution. Not as some fringe conspiracy, but as a mirror image. Back then, Mao demanded people abandon the 4 olds: customs, culture, habits, ideas. Step out of line and you weren't just mocked. You were shamed, beaten, sometimes erased altogether. Sound extreme? That's the point. The parallels are impossible to ignore.
Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, are there any similarities between today's woke revolution and Chairman Mao's Cultural Revolution of the 1960s? And it wrote back, how long do you have? Because, again, in China, we saw how a revolutionary thought he could do a page-1 rewrite of humans. Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being. A lot of pointing and shaming went on. Oh, and about 1 million dead. And the only way to survive was to plead insanity for the crime of being insufficiently radical, then apologize and thank the state for the chance to see what a piece of shit you are.
No one's claiming today's woke crusade is stacking up bodies, but the mindset is eerily familiar, purging the impure, erasing history, and crushing dissent. Yesterday, it was Red Guards with dunce caps. Today, it's Twitter mobs with hashtags and universities running struggle sessions disguised as sensitivity training. Take Jason Kilborn, a law professor in Chicago. On an exam, he referenced 2 slurs, without even writing them out, so his students could learn how to fight discrimination in real cases. Instead of applauding him, the school branded him a villain, banned him from campus, and forced him into weeks of ideological penance. For what? For teaching future lawyers how to confront racism in the courtroom. That's not justice, that's lunacy. And it doesn't stop in classrooms. Look at Winston Marshall from Mumford & Sons. His crime? Tweeting that he liked a book, not marching with extremists, not pushing hate, just liking a book. The mob descended, he quit the band, issued a humiliating apology, and acted like he'd committed some unspeakable sin. Pain from a book? Unless he clubbed the drummer over the head with it, the outrage was pure theater. Maher's point is brutal but clear. This is our own cultural revolution. The Red Guard is alive and well. It just swapped Mao's banners for hashtags and blue checkmarks. Decades ago, John Lennon tried to warn us. In his song, Revolution, he mocked the starry-eyed radicals who thought waving Mao's picture made them visionaries. Lennon's point was simple. Revolutions don't collapse because of bad intentions. They collapse because arrogance turns them into cults. The belief that your generation is so enlightened, so superior, that you've reinvented humanity itself, it's poison. And here we are, decades later, repeating the same mistake Lenin warned against. Only now it's dressed in hashtags and activism. The message isn't carry Mao's portrait, it's biology is optional, men and women are interchangeable, obesity is just a social construct. These aren't bold truths, they're comforting lies. Take the healthy at any size fad. For a brief moment, it was treated as scripture online. Weight doesn't matter. Doctors are bigots. You can be perfectly healthy regardless of the scale. But reality doesn't bow to slogans. Heart disease, strokes, diabetes, they kill nearly 300,000 Americans a year. That's not bullying, that's math. And when activists replace truth with feel-good delusions, people who need real help never get it. That isn't compassion, it's cruelty disguised as kindness. But Maher's argument digs deeper than health. He says woke culture isn't about tolerance, it's about obedience. Real diversity isn't about skin color, pronouns, or identity, it's about thought. It's about being able to disagree, argue, and still coexist. But step outside the script, and suddenly, the inclusive movement shows its teeth. The punishment is swift. Online mobs, canceled careers, public humiliation. One wrong word, one bad tweet, one misstep, and you're done. It's exhausting, it's suffocating, and it's killing free thought at its roots. And while America ties itself in knots over whether biology exists, the rest of the world is sprinting ahead. AI, biotech, automation, these are the debates that will shape the future. But instead of grappling with them, we're stuck rearranging the cultural deck chairs on the Titanic. It's embarrassing. It's dangerous. That's why Maher's war with wokeness hits so hard. It's not about chasing applause or landing a punchline. It's about dragging us back to reality before delusion swallows society whole. Because if we keep canceling professors for teaching uncomfortable truths, if we keep silencing musicians for liking the wrong book, if we keep pretending facts are feelings, then we're not progressing. We're regressing. And maybe that's the cruelest irony of all. The woke left claims to be the future, the cutting edge, the enlightened vanguard. But peel back the slogans, and what's left? Fragility, censorship, denial of reality. Maher isn't just telling jokes anymore. He's forcing us to look in the mirror, to admit the emperor has no clothes, to face the question that matters more than any hashtag. Do we want a culture grounded in reality or one built on fantasy? Because if we don't answer, the mob will. And history has already shown us what that ending looks like.